Alright, so welcome back if you're joining me from part 1 where I talked about the multiplayer stuff for the most recent update for Uncharted 4 multiplayer. In this part of the video I'm going to be talking about nothing but survival and co-op, so if that's what you're interested in then you've come to the right place. Now, my voice isn't fully recovered from the first video, but as I said, I want to get this done because then I can jump on and finally play the damn thing. Okay, so let's just get straight down to it. There are 10 stages. Stages meaning maps, okay, so there's 10 different maps that you'll be fighting on. Each map has a potential to earn you 3 stars. Now, these stars don't really count towards them. They're bragging rights, more or less. And the quicker you complete a stage, a map, you get up to potential 3 stars. So if you do it in, it was quite generous. The first star was like 20 minutes or something, right? And then the next star was like, I think it was like 12 minutes. And then the final star was like, well, obviously it depends on the stage you're playing on, but the final star was like 6 minutes. So as you can see, there's a bit of a jump between 20 minutes and 6 minutes. So having all 3 stars on any given stage really just distinguish, who's good and who's average, at the game. So each stage map has 5 levels to it. So in total, there are 50 levels throughout the entire co-op experience. I don't know if they're going to be adding more. I certainly hope so. But for now, at launch, there are 50 levels to play across 10 stages. So again, just to clarify, each stage is considered a map. So there are 10 maps to play. Each map has 5 levels. So 5 levels per map, 50 levels total. There you are. So difficulty, as with previous games, there's quite a few to choose from. So you've got easy. Nobody plays easy. You got normal, which is I guess moderate, standard, whatever you want to call it. You got hard, so that's obviously for people who want a bit of a challenge but aren't quite ready yet for the next stage, which is crushing. Now crushing has to be unlocked once you've beaten a stage on hard. So same with previous games, you can't play crushing until you beat it on hard. I hope that means each person in the lobby. Now a surprise, well I guess not so much of a surprise, but there is a higher difficulty than crushing. And it's called hardcore. Now I think the name of it probably could be something better. Hardcore, and then you've got hard, and then you've got crushing as well. It's sort of, I would have picked something else, but hardcore, as the name suggests, is proper hardcore. Now the reason why I say that is because you only get 1 life, right? If you're okay, maybe I should restart. So in hardcore, I mean, it's essentially the same game, but it's a lot tougher. And the major difference is if your entire team fails a level, you fail, and you have to start right back at the beginning. So in a normal game, if your entire team fails a level, you just restart and you'll play the level again. That's a good point. I don't know how many times you can actually restart a level before the game actually fails. It might be like 3 tries or something like that. They didn't actually specify that. I didn't actually see, but with hardcore, if your entire team wipes on any particular level, you will have to restart the entire stage again, so the entire map again. Now, they were talking about rewards, and I will cover this later on, but there are rewards for beating the game on certain difficulties. I'm definitely up for that challenge, and I cannot wait for my friends to get back online so we can try and work through it together as a duo. You know you are. Get your ass online. We're doing this. I didn't expect there to be another difficulty higher than crushing. I thought that would be the pinnacle, but it's quite interesting they've added another difficulty. So I don't know whether they've made hardcore the new crushing and they've made crushing a little bit easier, or if crushing is the same as it was before and hardcore is just like literally the absolute like top of the difficulty chain. So as well as having only 1 life, well, 1 team life, if you will, to complete each stage, well, each run of a stage, I guess. Hardcore itself isn't actually available until next year, so that's a little bit disappointing because I would have liked to try it out. However, they did say that hardcore is level locked anyway, so you can't play hardcore unless you've beat crushing already, but also you need to hit a minimum level in order to play it. Now in the stream they said it was level 50, which seems quite high, but at the same time you can rank up quite quickly anyways. I like this. This is good. This means that only people who put in the time to play co-op can attempt the highest difficulty, because there's nothing worse than playing with pubs who have no concept really of the difficulty they're playing and just make things a nightmare for everyone else. But hardcore isn't available till next year anyway. Probably be released as one of the DLCs or as a patch or whatever, because they might add some new stuff, who knows. So I did see a few different icons in the menu, so you can see for yourself on the screen now. So maybe you get like a different exterior to the stars. So you get 3 stars if you beat them all on easy, for example. You get the little wreath thing if you beat it on hard. I don't know exactly how it works, and hopefully you get different colors if you do it on a high difficulty. That's what I'm hoping for, but nothing's been confirmed. I'm looking forward to working on those anyways, so I guess maybe a bit of mystery. They've left it out on purpose so that we can discover it, or maybe they just forgot. Don't mean to bash Naughty Dog or anything, but the stream seemed a little bit unorganized. Just a little bit. So that's probably why it overran a tiny bit. Anyway, one other thing to mention regarding difficulty is that there are rewards in terms of unique skins for beating on certain difficulties. I mean, I would have liked unique skins, but what they've done is they've added a skeleton structure and they've dressed them up in certain characters. So basically, you can have skeleton Elena, you can have skeleton, I mean, you saw her earlier, skeleton Nadine. And basically, these skeletons come in different colors. So you've got the standard white for bones, and that is if you beat these stages on normal. And then you've got Wraith for those that beat it on hard. And then for those that beat it on crushing, you've got Compiler, which is like this matrix code green thing that's going on in the background. And then for hardcore, you've got gold. Now, gold looks dope. But the thing is, they're still dressed in like the normal like clothing of the characters that you're portraying. So it looks a little bit weird, I'm not going to lie. And as far as I can tell, they still speak. So that's something they brought over from Uncharted 3, which I'm a little bit annoyed about, because skeletons, they don't have the functionality to speak. They don't have any organs. That's why they're skeletons. That's a little bit annoying, but it is what it is. Looking forward to working towards a gold skeleton, that's for sure. I mean, it's something to show off in multiplayer lobbies, right? And obviously co-op lobbies as well. But I would have personally done things a little bit differently, but that's just me. Okay, so the next major thing they talked about was player buffs. Now, these are unlocked automatically, with rank. So in Uncharted 2, basically you could use the money you earned from completing matches to upgrade your weapons, and then each one upgraded would do more damage. Now, they've sort of changed that. I don't know whether it's to make it an even playing field or just a reward for obviously ranking up. So the higher rank you are, the more damage your weapon will output, and that's automatically. It's called a buff, and it's automatically applied to each weapon as soon as you rank up. So a level 1 weapon, when you're level 1, won't do as much damage as obviously when you're level 20. Now, I don't know how high this goes. Obviously, they probably will add more ranks to co-op at some point, like they've done with multiplayer. So does it keep going indefinitely? In which case, when you play crushing, for example, on level 100, it doesn't go that high. But if you were to play theoretically on level 100 and you had 100 buff on your weapon, it would make the game a bit easier than what you were obviously on lower levels. So then I'm just curious to know if there is a limit to how high your weapons will go. I mean, obviously in Uncharted 2, you could only level them up like 3 times or 4 or 5 times, a few times. But this obviously goes, the leveling system goes all the way up to whatever it goes up to. I don't think that was revealed yesterday. So I'm curious to know when the cutoff point is, because there has to be a cutoff point. It can't keep getting more powerful the higher level you are, because as I said, if in theory they added level 100 and you could get up to level 100 buff on your weapons, that is pretty crazy. You also get other bonuses as well, such as increased health. I don't know if they mentioned anything else in particular, but those are the 2 main ones. So obviously you get increasing damage and you get increasing health as your player level goes up. So the higher rank you are, the easier it will be to complete the higher rounds. So this is sort of an incentive, I guess, to grind for the higher ranks. I mean, I would personally do it anyway, so it's a moot point for me. But for other people who may not be as... I don't want to use the word casual because that makes me sound like a snob, but you know, for people who don't play too often, this gives them like an incentive to play a bit more. And obviously the more they play, the more benefits they get, and then they'll be able to tackle the higher levels, the harder waves, that sort of thing. So yeah, I can sort of see what they're doing with this. So we've already covered weapon crates in the previous trailer analysis that I did, so not too much more information to cover there. As I said, you can buy weapons from the weapon crates at any given time. There are 3 dotted around the map, and something that I guessed at but never was confirmed is that if you buy something from the store, it will obviously increase in price. The next time you buy it, it'll be a bit more expensive, and so on and so forth. A bit like the way that the gear upgrade works, but I don't think the jumps are going to be that high. It's probably going to be an extra 10% or whatever. Again, I don't know for sure, but it's not, it's not a massive surprise that the items will increase in price. They didn't confirm if all the weapons from multiplayer are in survival, but I think most of them do appear from what I've saw of the list that they showed on the screen. I do know for a fact that they've taken out smoke from the gear list. I mean, I personally wouldn't have brought smoke anyway because, explosives over smoke. But they said that some gear items were removed because they were OP. The only gear item they removed was smoke. And the only reason why I think it's OP is because smoke basically nullifies the AI's line of sight. So if you throw a bunch of smoke down, you could effectively run straight through a crowd of them, and unless you fired a shot or bumped into someone, none of them would know you were there. So I guess you could effectively just blitz through the objective waves, and that would possibly make it a little bit imbalanced. So that's probably why they took it out. But again, as I said, I probably wouldn't have brought it anyways. So I don't know, but that's just the way it is. The other thing they mentioned regarding weapons is that you can actually obtain weapon variants. Now, what I mean by that is a bit like hero weapons for multiplayer, right? So you can get one with extended mags, recoil, that sort of thing. But the way you obtain them is via boss drops. So there are bosses in the game. That's already been confirmed. We've already talked about it a little bit, and I will cover it more later in the video. But you can obtain weapon variants from boss drops. Now, bosses you face every 10 levels. So it's every other stage at the end you face a boss. And each of these bosses has a chance to drop a weapon variant. I don't know if it's a guaranteed drop every single time. If it is, then that's not too bad, because then you play enough, you eventually get everything. But if it's completely random, then it'll be like the treasures from Uncharted 3, and that was a bloody nightmare. So I'm hoping it's the former, not the latter. But basically, they give you variants, hero weapon variants, basically, and you can use those. You can equip those and bring those into your fight. Now, by equipping, I mean you've unlocked it, you select it, but you still need to buy it physically from the crate. So yeah, interested to see how that works. Obviously, if it's random, I would be very, very disappointed, to say the least. But again, as long as the base weapons are okay and you still get the buffs and all the rest of it, then I guess I can live without. I can use the weapons naturally. I don't need hero weapons to succeed, but they are nice to have. And if other people have them and you don't, then that's when I get a little bit sour. Okay, so moving on. If you kill an enemy with a headshot, they will drop what we call score orbs, and these are the little blue things on the screen. I apologize in advance for the quality of the screenshots. The stream was a little bit laggy. It wasn't 60 FPS, as you can probably guess, so it was a bit hard to get good screenshots, but I did the best I could. I tried to get it so that you could see the thing that I was talking about rather than the surrounding, so the rest of it might be blurry, but the thing that I'm talking about hopefully is clear for you to see. So these little blue crystals, it's called score orbs, and basically if you collect those, they will increase your score at the end of the match, potentially more XP to be earned, and if relics are based on XP, then hopefully more relics, but they didn't confirm that. And also you do get score orbs for killing big bosses. So I think I talked about this in the trailer analysis before, but they've sort of tweaked it slightly, I believe. I'm not too sure exactly, but you also get score orbs. So headshots are normal enemies, and then you also get score orbs for killing hardened enemies. So your brutes, your bosses, your tanky terminators, that sort of thing, you know. Okay, so the next thing is rather interesting actually. Co-op has drop in, drop out functionality. So in Uncharted 3 and Uncharted 2, if basically you were the last person in the lobby, if you're the last person in the match, let's say the other two rage quit or whatever, the game would end automatically and you'd be fuming because it's normally you that's doing really well at the time. Now in Uncharted 4 Survival, let's say you're the last person in the match, they will automatically sub in an NPC. So they'll give you a friendly AI to play with until a real player comes in and replaces that NPC, which I think is a really nice touch. Also, this NPC is who you would play with if you decide to play solo or if you decide to play offline, obviously when you can't play with other players. So just one quick note about the stars, which I forgot to mention earlier, is that, as I said, they're based on completion time only, but the timer doesn't run in between waves. So you complete a wave, you've got that brief little pause where you can go to the crate or just chillax for 10 seconds. And then once the wave starts again, that's when the timer continues. So it's not the entire time you'll spend in that match, it's just the entire time it takes you to complete each of the waves. So that's all added together minus the intermission time in between. Now another good thing is that daily challenges do return for co-op as well. So you don't get two sets of challenges. You still get one set of challenges you get one set of daily challenges every day, and then you get a set every 3 days, a full set. But the interesting thing is you can actually switch between competitive multiplayer and cooperative. So you can set, I don't know if it's an option in the menu, I believe it is, but you can set them to be either competitive or co-op, or if you want, a mix of them. So if you play co-op only, you can just set the daily chances as co-op, and then you can just play co-op and never have to worry about multiplayer. If you play multiplayer and you never touch co-op, I don't know why, but you could also set it that way. Or if you like me and you play a mix, then you can just set to a mix, and then obviously you just pick which ones you wanted to do. So that's really good. That's a nice touch. I didn't expect that. To be honest, I probably would have been expecting another set entirely for co-op, but I guess maybe that's a bit too many relics that Naughty Dog would have been giving out then. So in terms of the stages, I think they said you can search for each stage individually, but then they mentioned groupings. So they said like stage 1 to 3, 4 to 7, and then 8 and 10 or whatever it was. So I'm guessing you can't pick like one particular map. However, the next bit is interesting, is that you can start a stage solo and make it public so that pubs can join your game. So I guess if you really need to do a particular stage, you can then set that stage, get it started, and let people join you. However, I'm just curious to know if it's joining you mid-match or joining you in the lobby before the match starts. Because if they join you mid-match, then your time's going to suffer, because obviously you're completing objectives but you're not playing with human players. So I'll be interested to see how that works out once I confirm it for myself. As I said, at the end of every 10 levels, there are Pirate Warlord boss fights, and I think there are a couple of different ones. They only showed off one in the stream, but I think there's one different one in the trailer analysis that I did. So that one was the Jin Fiery Ball one, whereas this one's the Purpley Electric Teleport one. Don't know the names, so I'll have to find those out obviously as I play the game. But the one that featured in the stream, as I said, teleports from location to location. He spawns 2 decoys. Now, all of the decoys and himself, the Pirate Warlord, carry a flintlock. Now, if you manage to kill the decoys, they will drop the flintlock. If you pick up the flintlock and use it on the boss, the main boss, you'll put him in his down state, make him vulnerable to attacks. So it's a good tactic is to go for the decoys, pick up the flintlock, shoot the boss, and then take out the boss when he's down. It's worth noting that this boss can actually grab players. So he'll run. Well, if you get close enough, I think there's a range, a bit like the Banshee from Mass Effect 3 multiplayer. If you get within range, he picks you up, teleports you to the other side of the map. So let's say all your team are on, well, in the example shown here, if you're on the cliff side of Auction House, he will teleport to the opposite side, which is Car Park. So then your teammates have to sort of rush over, try and help you out. However, you're not screwed from the offset, right? If you get picked up, it's not all over just yet. As soon as you get picked up, there is a button mashing prompt that appears on the screen. So if you fill the circle, basically you can break out of his grasp. You can take the flintlock from him, shoot him in the face, and then if your teammates are there, you can all put a load of bullets into his body. It's definitely a very interesting concept. Adds a bit more variety to a boss fight, I guess. Means that you can't play too recklessly. As I said, I don't know what the grab range is, so hopefully if it's a minimum grab range, then you just stay at the minimum range. But if it's just any player at any time, then that would probably be a bit annoying. As I said at the start of, well, I guess the previous video now, you can level up separately to competitive multiplayer. So co-op comes with its entire own rank system. You get slightly different emblems for the numbers to go in, so you know which lobby you're in. But as I said, the lobby does have its own menu as well, so you kind of can't really get confused between the two. Again, you can set the lobby to load automatically. So for multiplayer at the moment, you can set to load straight to multiplayer, and you can also set to load straight to co-op multiplayer. You earn a lot of XP from completing stages, that much I saw, but also you earn a crap ton for getting stars for the first time. So I think if you get 2 stars on the stage for the first time, you get like 8,000 XP or something. So if you complete like the first 5 stages, all with 2-star average, you probably hit like the high 20s already. So it shouldn't take you too long to get to the higher levels and unlock the good stuff, and also boost yourself up for decent damage as well. Now, just like multiplayer, you can bring loadouts to co-op. I'm really happy about this because it's a lot more diverse than Uncharted 2 and Uncharted 3. In fact, in Uncharted 3, you could only bring boosters. Weapons were pretty much set. You unlock the variants and that was it. And you could only bring boosters, really. But in this one, you can bring a lot more boosters. So there are 5 booster slots, but each one has obviously a point value, again, just like in multiplayer. So you can only bring a certain amount of boosters up to a certain point limit. But effectively, you could bring up to 5 if you pick like 5 low ranking ones. Weapon variants we've already talked about, so you have to unlock them via boss fights. As I said, I'm not too sure if you can actually physically choose to bring a variant along, but they will be available from the chest once you've unlocked it. Now, gear also returns, so obviously it works similar to how it does in multiplayer, except gear recharge sort of gets boosted by killing enemies. So if you kill an enemy, let's say you kill a grunt, it's worth $100, you earn a small recharge on your gear. If you kill a brute, for example, let's say it's worth 1,000, you then get a much bigger increase in your gear recharge. So it rewards players who go on sprees, I suppose. So you could kill enemies, use your nade, kill enemies, use your nade, so on and so forth. And that's the feeling I get from this, from what I've seen so far, is that the better you do, the more money you earn. The more money you earn, the more things you can buy from the store, the in-game chests, weapon crates, and the more rewards you get at the end of the match. So as far as I can tell, it's dependent on your performance. I don't know how much of a team performance it depends on. I'm hoping this means with this new system that the more work you put in, the more rewards you get, and that's how it should be, as in life. They didn't actually mention specifically how you could earn loadout points, but I'm guessing it's just to do with your rank. So the higher rank you are, the more loadout points you have, and eventually you'll be maxed out at level whatever, and you'll have the full relic points to assign. They didn't say how many relic points you could go up to, but at a guess I would say it's the same as multiplayer because the system they've already got in place basically, so they could just sort of rework it a little bit. Obviously, one of the things you want to do quickly is to rank up, so not only do you get the damage output and the health increase, but also so you get access to the loadout points. So grind is the tip of the day. Okay, so I touched on it briefly earlier, but players can go down, they can get revived, there's nothing new there. However, once you die, as far as I could tell, there wasn't like a team life counter like there was in Uncharted 3. Once you die, that's it, you're out of the round for good. So you're in spectator mode. Now, I don't know how spectator mode works exactly, because none of the players that we were spectating, were watching during the stream, actually went down or died. Well, they went down, but they didn't die. So in previous games, if you died permanently, you could move around, well, not move around the map, but you could rotate between cameras on the map, and you could sort of call out enemies, help your teammates, sort of thing. But they didn't show that. I assume that returns, but no confirmation as of yet. However, if a player that's still alive saves up enough money, they can actually bring back all dead players. So there's an option in the weapon crates at the very bottom, I believe. It says revive all players. Now, not only can you revive players that are currently in the game still who may have just gone down, you can actually bring players back from the dead. So it's a way of bringing back players who you couldn't save, for example, but it is a high price to pay. It's literally very expensive to buy that, and as I said, the prices go up anyway, so if you do it too many times during the course of a match, you may be priced out towards the end of the wave. Yes, so as I said, if everyone dies, the wave will restart on difficulty that's crushing or lower, but on hardcore, if you fail the wave, then you fail the entire stage and you have to start from the very beginning again. So hardcore is quite taxing, but who doesn't love a good challenge, right? I've already talked about the game modes that feature in co-op, so I won't cover them in too much detail here, but there are one or two things that I noticed. So treasure race, that's where you run around the map collecting all the bounties. You need to work together with your team, run around the map, but you only have to run in a certain section at any given time. So it's not treasures across the entire map that you have to go and get. Well, in due course, yes, but at that particular stage, you only have to run around a certain section of the map, so you can sort of work your way around. And the other thing that I noted was the siege area. They did say that enemies won't start spawning until at least one human player is inside the siege area. So a tactic they advised was to maybe set yourself up first, so put down mines, plant some C4s, and then everyone jump into the circle, and obviously as the enemies rush, then you could just detonate or let them trip the mines as necessary. But if you're playing for time, I guess everyone just get in the hill and just worry about it after, right? But that's just something that they mentioned. I thought that was quite interesting because, as I said, it does give you the option, if you wish, to set up and play a bit more tactically. Okay, so we're getting right to the end now. The final point that I want to mention regarding Uncharted Survival is that apparently each enemy has a hidden countdown timer. Now, what this countdown timer does is basically it's until they rush you. So an enemy will sort of go to your area, use cover, take pot shots, but then after a certain time, that enemy will just go full-blown suicidal and rush where your team is currently at. So it sort of forces you to take them out quickly and efficiently, but it also puts a bit of pressure on you because enemies won't just sit at a certain distance and take pot shots for the entire round. They will actively rush you at some point. So if you don't take care of them before they become a threat, they will then obviously possibly take care of you, if you know what I'm saying. Okay, so this video is almost coming to an end now. Bear with me, we're almost there at the finish line. The final note about survival is that each wave has a potential for a modifier. So the two examples I showed on the stream were, one of them was pistols and melee only during that wave. Anything else wouldn't count as a kill. And also, every time you killed an enemy, they would drop an Indra's Eternity. Now, the Indra's Eternity works just like it does in multiplayer. It's an area that slows you down, right? So every enemy that you kill will drop a blade directly where they were killed. It's a slightly smaller radius, but the effects are exactly the same. So you get slowed down. So basically, if you get rushed and you take out a bunch of enemies and they all drop daggers and you have to run through that field, obviously your escape will be very, very slow. So the best thing to do is obviously keep them at a distance and kill them. And the next example they showed was, I think was it headshots only? That's one of the modifiers, but I don't know if that's the one they actually showed. But the other modifier was that every time you killed an enemy, they would spawn the Wrath of El Dorado specters. So every time you killed an enemy, like 4 of them would offshoot from the body and hunt down the nearest player. Again, just like multiplayer, they do have a cut-off range, so they won't chase you across the entire map. But if you kill enemies in CQC, for example, you got to be careful because they could end up killing you after death, if you know what I mean. So yeah, that was everything I noted during the live stream. A very long video, as I said, but a lot of information to discuss there and a lot of points I hopefully highlighted for you. I'm off to edit this video now and then hopefully get in some playtime tonight. If you've got any thoughts you'd like to share me regarding what I've talked about today or that you saw in the stream that I didn't pick up, then feel free to let me know in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video or the previous video, do drop a like. I would really appreciate it. And as always, until next time, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Take care. Enjoy co-op. I know I'm going to enjoy it. I hope I enjoy it. I will, of course, post my opinions and thoughts to AcornVision Gaming's head over there over the next few days for when I finally get my footage up. But until then, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Take care. And I will see you later.